sing more. He can't sing a lick. Right. And they're doing, and he's doing this game, this music show, and I said, Tom, you've got to learn how to sing. I would tape across the hall. I'd go in and tease him unmercifully.
Oh, yes. Didn't matter. I tried it one day. Ralph Edwards, who was the executive producer, came in and said, do me one favor, just one. I said, what? He said, don't
ever sing again.
Don't sing.
Phil, does this mean that he's going to sing for us today?
We'll get him a cappella when we come back in just a moment.
Dumb Dora was so down. Not bad for beginners. Instead of giving the victim mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, she gave him mouth-to-blank resuscitation.
Great expense. All right, boy, I tell you what, dealing with his agents, his lawyers, it's been tough, but he has consented to give us a little revisit to the match game. Gene Rayburn, before you begin, and it is your segment, we want we need a contestant and a person to do a guess, right?
Right.
Okay. Come on, here, wait a minute. You want her? She'll be the contestant. Go up, stand next to Gene. You said you're from Alabama. You can come down here. Go get him, Alabama. You're in the top seat down there. All right? Yeah, right there. Right over there. Yeah. There you go. Right up the stairs.
Come on out there. Hi
you
there.
can, yeah, there's a mic. We'll get you.
Yeah.
What's Tom, Peter? All right, you want to say hello to your mother?
Yeah.
All right. Brother Rayburn, you're on. We're ready.
Okay, let's find out. So we're going to, you know how to play the match game. The object is to match as many people as you possibly can, okay?
Right.
All right, tell us your name.
Angela Burrell from Houston, Texas.
Welcome, Angela. Let's find out who she is.
Your name is?
Lisa Robinson from Gadsden, Alabama.
Oh, well.
Alabama. All right.
Yeah. We knock him dead in Gadsden, Alabama. Yes.
This will be a truncated version of the match game. I have the question here, no peeking, and I will ask the question, and you will write your responses down. Okay?
Yes, got it.
All right. Ready? Okay. Dumb Dora was so down. Not bad for beginners. Instead of giving the victim mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, she gave him mouth-to-blank resuscitation. All right. Write your answers down.
I can't.
And I'll get a response.
I don't know.
Now, usually this works best if you just write the first thing that comes to your mind. Or maybe in this case, the second thing that comes to your mind.
It's going to be after I don't even have a guess.
Maybe Phil's last shot.
Instead of giving mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, she gave him mouth-to-blank resuscitation.
It's the first
Well,
thing.
name another body part. That's what you have to do here. Just be careful, that's all. Are you thinking of an answer? Don't say it until I ask for it, all right? Okay.
All right.
Everybody ready over here?
Yeah, we're ready.
All right.
Okay.
Now, how's this work now? You have to, Houston has to reveal her...
She's going to give us her answer now, and then we will poll the celebrities and see...
do we communicate? We don't. No, we just did it. All right.
Oh, no.
Okay,
Got to do it on your own. All right, what is your response?
Nose.
Mouth to nose resuscitation. That's pretty good. Pretty good. All right. We're going to begin with Peter and go across, and then go to Wink, and then...
very small mouth, and he kept getting confused, so it was mouth to navel.
Mouth to navel. That's a good one. Don't say, oh, that was a good answer.
Except that she doesn't win now, as I remember the rules. She loses.
No, she doesn't get... That's not a match.
That's too bad.
You have to match
There
her
goes the
response.
Cadillac.
All right, may we see your answer, please?
Lisa, you go ahead.
He's changing his answer. Can I change my answer?
Go ahead, I'll explain why. Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay.
What'd you
He
say?
used my answer. He looked at my person and used my answer, but I said toe.
Mouth to toe.
Mouth to toe.
Hey, wouldn't that be an interesting sight, wouldn't it?
Try to blow him up.
All right.
You said, give me the first thing that enters your mind, and before you even finish the question, I had this answer, but I can't use it, so I went with heart instead. I said
Heart.
Yeah.
Mouth to heart resuscitation.
Well, it's better than what I had. What had occurred.
Pickle would have been terrible. I don't understand my words. Please, somebody, we may have to play another round if we don't get a
yeah.
match out of here. Go ahead.
Boy, how long was this show on the air? Go ahead.
Hopefully they played better than we did. I was, I guess, sick, but I said mouth to foot.
Mouth to foot, that's a good response. Mouth to foot, any body part, okay. All right, Phil.
I said mouth to...
One celebrity, we didn't mean to overlook you, Monty, but you're so quiet back there in California. What was your response?
Well, this girl wasn't so dumb. My girl, Dumb Dora, she went right for the money.
That's how match game work. You've heard the star say this show survived, did you say 12, 13?
17.
17 years. It's what entertained us in the daytime. There are probably some young people out there that want to know what. We haven't done it justice here with this brief snippet, but boy, we were absorbed, and you got the laughs, Gene
And you
Rayburn.
know what? We did have a long run because we had such great celebrities. Jack Klugman, Brett Summers, Betty White. I mean, everybody.
Charles Nelson Riley.
Charles Nelson Riley was great.
Yes.
We just had a wonderful group of celebrities.
Gadsden, Alabama, and Houston, Texas, we thank you for helping us with our program. Just hold on a minute here. You will be, hang on 1 second. You and someone you love will be our guests at a Manhattan restaurant at a place and time of your choosing, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Meet parents who...
Well, we're back. These are the famous faces who made up the majority of the successful game shows throughout our recent television history. And Monty Hall is on the satellite from California. I am pleased to welcome to our effort here Fred Westbrook, who wrote the Encyclopedia of TV Game Shows. No kidding, there is such a book. Here it is right here. How's that for a nice gift? Look at that. All right, let's start, Fred, with unlikely game show hosts. I love this. Unlikely game show host. Well, not so unlikely. We knew. What was the name of his show?
That was called Play Your Hunch with Merv Griffin, and what's interesting about this, an unknown actor named Robert Redford was a contestant on it.
Here you have... this is...
That's Newsmaker 2020 host Hugh Downs on Concentration in 1957.
Here is... Name this celebrity.
That is Milton Berle hosting his 1960 game show called Jackpot Bowling.
This man had a game show? Fred?
Oh, yeah, that is Jackie Gleason hosting a show called You're in the Picture. But what's interesting about this show, it only lasted 28 minutes, only one show, and it was canceled.
Yeah. I remember that very well. I do. Yeah. He came back the next week from Miami Beach on an empty stage.
That's right.
In the time slot. Do you remember this?
Yeah,
with
sure
the teacup. Yeah, with a teacup. You remember this, Monty?
Yeah.
He walked out, he said, sat
in a chair.
Yeah. He said, last Saturday, in this time slot, we had the biggest bomb in the history of television. He said the show was so bad that the stage manager, who goes like this when it's over, the time is up, used a real knife. This is... I will never forget this. Why does that stick with me? It must stick with me because it was the most drop-dead, honest, naked acknowledgement of a bomb that I've ever...
And it was live.
It was live. Yeah.
And
All right.
made a series out of that.
Never mind. He could. What do you say, Fred? Who we doing?
Long before the Dick Van Dyke Show, he hosted a game show, and this was called Mother's Day.
That's Dick Van Dyke.
Back in 1950, I think 58.
Okay.
Another little trivia with him. He was also married on television.
Dick Van Dyke?
That's right.
Yes, he was married on Ask the Bride, or it was a bride and groom show. And he and his first, they were married on television because he got all the prizes and some money and made a honeymoon. That's a true story.
Here's a friend of mine. I'm pleased because what we have here is his first communion picture.
Kathy Lee was with Tom on Name That Tune, and this is her other half, Regis Philbin, when he co-hosted a game show in '75 called Almost Anything Goes on ABC.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this will surprise you.
Oh, yeah.
Guess who have been game show hosts? We're going to start with this one. Has been a game show host. This is, I think, a Trivial Pursuit question.
Oh, yes.
It's in...
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Walter Cronkite. Walter Cronkite hosted a game show called It's News to Me in 1952.
I got another one here for you. Who, you know what you...
Oh, sure.
All right, go ahead.
That's the very first female host who ever hosted a game show.
Standing or seated?
Standing. That is Arlene Francis on a game show called Blind Date. Back in 1949.
Done in 8H next door.
Right next door.
Yeah.
Incidentally, the person... The man sitting there
looks like Johnny Carson, but it's really not.
No. All right, here's another person who was a game show host.
Oh yeah.
You didn't know this. He once hosted a game show.
Now, folks, this man hosted more game shows than Pat Sajak and Bob Barker combined. That's Mike Wallace way before 60 Minutes.
And now he denies it.
Right. He hosted 5 game shows total.
Yeah. This, I think, is 1950-something.
Yes, sir. I believe
55.
55.
Did you mention the name of the show?
The Big Surprise.
Very good. Yeah. We'd expect the author of the encyclopedia to know that. I think this is mid-70s.
Yes, that's...
Look who's hosting a game show. You have to go in here, or they're not going to see him.
I'll tell you how you know him. If I said All in the Family, if I said The Jeffersons, that's creator Norman Lear hosting Quiz Kids.
Quiz Kids.
So he, too, was a game show host. Wait to see the next one.
Yeah, this is neat.
Okay, you guys will never get it.
Here's a man loved coast to coast, especially around the Ohio River, Kentucky, Cincinnati.
Now, you may not know who he is, but you know who his son is.
Well, now, wait a minute. Tell him who his sister is.
Well, his sister is Rosemary Clooney. Yeah. And his son is George Clooney, who's on ER. And this is a show called The Money Maze that George Clooney used to run around in.
This is Nick.
Right, that's his dad, Nick Clooney.
Nick Clooney's son is on ER. I'll tell you, we got all kinds of family on this program, led off by Monty, and all these folks have... I tell you what, my dream is that before this century is over, we'll all have our own TV show. And it just may happen. We'll give you a chance to question these greats of the game show game when we come back in just a moment.
You can't get anything out of those civilian contestants unless you give them tender, loving care and make them feel relaxed.
Yeah, on you, Peter. You are a triple threat. I mean, the man is almost as well coordinated as his son, who played Major League Baseball. Here you are, Gilbert Sullivan, on the stage. You knock him out, kid. You're a singer, a dancer. I mean, what a lucky woman. If there's a woman in your life, she's very fortunate.
She's right.
And we'll introduce her when we come back after this clip. Show him. Show Peter Marshall at work.
That's right.
I am the captain of the Pinafore. And a very good acting crew. You're very, very good, and be it understood, I command a right good crew. We're very, very good, and be it understood, we command a right good crew. So related to a pier, I can hand, reef, and steer, or ship or sail or gee. I've never known the quail of the fury of a gale, and I'm never, never sick at sea.
Phil, with a great English comic playing Sir Joseph. I played it. Frankie Howard, that was with the London Symphony, and I had more fun. I camped that whole character, and the British loved it.
Yeah, I bet you they did.
They did.
You knew what you were doing up there. Your wife's name is Laurie, and she's here.
Yes.
We're so glad. Stand up, gorgeous kid.
Wife.
Whoa. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, the man. This better be good. Your hand's been up this whole... The blood has drained from his hand. Now watch this guy. All right, here we go.
First of all, I know that I might look like a youngster, but I like all of you, and it was great. Except for the author. I don't know you too well. But that's
Hey, wait a minute.
Okay, but I have a question. I've watched most of those shows that you guys hosted, and I've seen the contestants ask and say the stupidest things I've ever heard. Do you ever have the temptation to say, what are you thinking to these people? And have you ever done it before?
A person, no, I haven't, because for the most part they're nervous, and you try to calm them down, and they don't mean to be. They're actually, before they ever get on, they are taught what to do, what not to do. It's sort of like Kato Kalin, you know. They brief you what they do. And sometimes they seem very cool. They get on stage and they are a wreck. But they're there, and I work my tail off to make them look as good as I possibly could. You know, I feel badly.
Yeah,
of course you do.
Absolutely right.
You know,
you can't get anything out of those civilian contestants unless you give them tender, loving care and make them feel relaxed and at home.
And you pray that they drop the kind of bombs that this young man is talking about.
Right.
Here you are, never knowing what's going to happen with a contestant, a match game, Gene Rayburn talking to somebody who's about to get a big laugh and doesn't realize it. Show him.
Cuckoo blank.
Cuckoo friend and Ollie.
I love that. That was wonderful. I love that, Gene. I never saw that. That was great.
What do the audience say? Cuckoo what?
Peter Marshall, were your contestants ever coached on those funny answers that they gave?
No, you mean my stars or the contestants?
Hollywood Square.
The stars, yes. They were briefed. I had 9 little slots, and they each had their questions. They didn't know the question. As an example, the best example I can cite to you, they would say to Paul, Paul, Pete's going to ask you a thing on sports. A good bluff might be 12. A good joke might be about half. That's all he ever got. I never knew who was briefed. I never knew who being a straight man all those years with Tommy, I had a feeling. I'd say, Paul...
Tommy Noonan.
Tommy Noonan. How many men on a hockey team? He would say, about half. So that's how that... But what he did with it is what makes it work. And when something didn't work, that's when he really came to the fore. He was really quite brilliant and very funny man, I thought.
Let me just briefly here.
Oh, yeah.
People who have been on game shows.
Folks, that's Michael Jackson in 1971 when he was on The Dating Game.
All right, other folks who've, I'm not sure, does the name O.J. ring a bell with anybody?
That's O.J. Simpson on a game show called Sports Challenge back in 1971.
And that's Jim Brown in the center, and that's Leroy Kelly, both of whom ran for the Cleveland Browns.
Right.
With the Heisman Trophy winner from the University of California.
Can I give you a piece of trivia?
What is it?
The only contestant ever on Hollywood Squares who came on as a contestant and then wound up as a star was O.J. Simpson. When he was a student at SC, he was a contestant, then came back as a star.
Here is a game show of a black and white photograph. You know who that is in the center? That is Paul Newman. That's Henry Morgan, and I'm not sure who the left is.
That's Bill Todman.
And that's from... what is it from? What's My Line? Or
What's My Line? Exactly.
Right. Here is Allie McGraw's ex-husband.
Now, guys, this is before he became a big star. He did a movie called The Blob around this time.
Steve McQueen on the left.
And that's the late Bill Layden on a show called It Could Be You. Could be
you, yeah. Moving along here. Do from left to right here.
Okay, from left to right, we have James Ferrantino, Elizabeth Ashley, Brenda Viacaro, and then unknown actor, some guy named Michael Douglas.
And it's Celebrity Bowling. Celebrity Bowling. And here are the late, great Alan Ludden, and Betty White, whom he was to marry. Here, presiding over Password
and that's Jim Backus.
Right. And we'll be back in just a moment.
I replaced Jack Barry for 4 weeks on that show. And I was never indicted or called to testify. But it was an exciting time for the
Monty Hall, they'll never accuse you of being pushy, and maybe that's why you were your show ran for such a long 27 years.
30 years, yeah.
30. Here you are, you remember when they, you're going to take behind the curtain, or do you want to, and the woman is dressed like a chicken salad sandwich. Boy, this was a show. All right, here you are challenging the guests. I think they got $700. You're going to take it? You know the car is behind one of the curtains. And I think they got, show them, Brian, make a deal. Let's make a deal.
Okay, let's keep it. You going to let her talk you out of it? You going to let her talk you out of that curtain? That's a car, I'll kill you. They're going to keep the $950. And what was behind curtain number 2? Did Ken have an idea?
Well, Monty, you certainly confirm the axiom. It's simplicity that works, isn't it? And there's nothing complicated about this.
It's a little gambling game, and that's what it was.
Yeah. How's the weather down there?
Rancho Mirage.
And I'm about 5 minutes from where Peter Marshall lives, right here.
We are very close friends. That's one of my best pals in the world.
Well, you both have done very well. Did I understand you to have a question?
I think it's
this young woman.
Well, my question is for Peter Marshall. You've had so many celebrities on your show. Which one was your favorite, or were you personal friends with all of them?
I shouldn't say this, but I'm very close to Rosemary. I had known her since I was a kid. I knew Cliff Arquette since I was 17. But the guy that was like my brother was George Gobel. I loved him to death. I loved George Gobel.
Some of the answers we've seen in the clips have been a little risque. What were the censors like then?
That's a good question.
Most of that didn't get on the air.
No, most of it didn't get on the air.
We can only show it.
Nipples air?
No. You know, in the climate of those times, CBS edited that out of the tape.
Yeah.
And now it's been played all over the world. Dick Clark used it, as I said earlier, it was used in London.
Yes. Sir, you wanted to ask.
Well, former game show contestant Robert Redford did a movie about a quiz show about the scandals. Was there anything that, any experiences that you had? You don't have to incriminate yourself.
It was fairly authentic. The movie was quite authentic. I lived through that era, and it was quite authentic, the way he did the quiz show.
Monty, you were saying?
I replaced Jack Barry for 4 weeks on that show.
Ready?
And I was never indicted or called to testify. But it was an exciting time for the kid who came down from Canada.
Yeah.
They made people run disclaimers, though. Yes. That's when they started disclaimers on shows.
But here you had, it's funny, what goes today didn't then. You had writers slaving all night long, spitballing, trying to figure out what's funny, practicing doing it, and trying to throw it out, edit. And a contestant walks in, and the building caves in, and you can't put it on the air. We're going to show you one more time. Go get him, Gene Rayburn. Boy, just stand there and enjoy this one.
We have to introduce another player, and with a great deal of pleasure, we present Karen Lesko. Hi, Karen. Hi. You know John?
Yes, we do.
Doesn't she have pretty nipples, pretty dimples there?
Edition of the game show book encyclopedia is coming out in 7 months. Peter, you wanted to say?
Well, he is a fan. He's a fan of game shows, and he now represents me as an agent. How about you?
Me.
How about you? How about you? He's now our agent, and he's a terrific agent.
These guys are my heroes, and I'm so thrilled to be involved with them.
In addition, he got me a job doing La Cage aux Folles.
He did, and Peter, too. Hey, Monty, thank you. Say hello to everybody at Rancho Mirage. Join me in thanking all these guests for a very good...
Services provided and promotional fees paid by the following: